Welcome to Seymour from the Front Pew podcast, coming to you from the broadcast studio at Seymour First Baptist Church in Seymour, Tennessee, and featuring thoughts and discussions around loving God, loving others, making disciples, and living the life. I am your host, Tiger Brooks, and now, on to the podcast. Well, we welcome you back into the Seymour from the Front Pew podcast studio. It's been a bit since we gathered here. I can't even tell you, did we actually send one out?
No,
We missed a week, didn't we?
Yep, we skipped a week.
And so, been in Guatemala, three of us at least, and we're playing a little bit of catch up, so we apologize for missing it out on an episode last week. But here we are. And I guess as I think about what we're going to talk about, the way that this podcast really has evolved over the last couple of years is that it has become a vehicle for us to really disseminate pertinent information that is Seymour Baptist Church centric.
Yeah.
I think that's a safe, obviously, everybody's doing a podcast now, and, everybody wants broad appeal and thousands and millions of downloads and listeners and all that kind of stuff. And for us, this is simply a way of communicating pertinent information to the people that it matters to and locally here at Seymour. And maybe occasionally we, like any blind squirrel that finds a nut on an occasion, we will offer information that has a broader appeal at times. And today's topic is really no different than that. We felt like we've addressed a lot of different things over the past several weeks about the prospects of going to two services and why that's important. And obviously that got a lot of traction with us, with our people locally. And we thought about today, actually Pastor Corey came up with the concept that we get a lot of questions related to, okay, I've been visiting, I'm interested in joining. What's the process? What do I do? What are the next steps in that?
Yeah, and I think that it really is driven out of questions. Like we are thinking about this today because it's come up several times over the last couple of weeks, and it's one of those things. We are a no pressure type of place. So when visitors come in, we would love to get information from you and get to know you, but at the same time, we aren't pressuring you for a lot of that information. We aren't diving, deep and doing all those types of things to try to find out who you are or to press you toward making quick decisions or any of those types of things. And so there's kind of a good and bad on that. And so, so oftentimes it leaves some things unknown or undone because we aren't, just in your face about all this stuff or, join as quick as you can or whatever else. And so, so it's led to a couple questions on that end, that I think we have distinct answers for, like we know what those are, but it's not always communicated real well or real easily as far as if you're wondering about what to do, how to get involved, what's next or whatever else, for you.
And the truth is, a lot of times we take for granted that people kind of know these things.
Yeah.
And that's a very bad thing to do because every church is different. Every Southern Baptist church, by very definition, is a unique body of Christ. Mm-hmm. And you won't find two churches that do everything the same. Now, lots of similarities across all church lines.
Yeah.
But a church down the street can do a few things very differently than we do them, and the way that we approach them. And not to mention the fact that there's, people coming from non-denominational backgrounds, coming from a Roman Catholic background, or just really having no concept of what a Southern Baptist church looks like. And they show up and what's next? And so we can't make the grave mistake of just assuming, this is what you do. You don't know this.
Yeah, and there's a sermon series coming on this. Actually, just right after Easter, we're going to dive into Next Steps sermon series. And this is not driving that, and that is not driving this. It really is just the questions that have been coming up, and the series really is about everyone realizing there's a next step, regardless of where you are in your church life or Christian life or whatever else. There's always a next step. There's always something more for us. God's always working and moving. He doesn't stop, and there's not a retirement where we're done with that in our lives.
Yeah.
As far as that, and that's really the sermon series. That's not today or whatever else, but that's kind of the thought with it. And so one of the main questions we've gotten as of late is about Pastor Tiger's class that he typically does. And I say his class. Hopefully, eventually, it's led by other people too. But Tiger's done it most of the time. Is, well, do I have to go through new member merge to join the church, or I've not joined yet because I haven't gone through the class? And you don't have to. Like the class is not a requirement for membership. Matter of fact, I would say recommended to go through at some point in time if you want to understand the life of Seymour First Baptist, but in no way is it a requirement, or is it something that you have to do, or there's the biggest thing you've got to do to come and be a part of Seymour First Baptist is be saved and baptized.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of the requirements for membership in Seymour First Baptist, is that you've accepted Christ as Savior, you've been baptized by immersion. And
while we're there, just go ahead and let's talk about the ways that you can. Let's just take. Okay, I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah.
Let's take John and Ann.
Yeah.
And their two kids. Okay. They've come. They've visited.
Names?
John and Ann.
What are their kids' names?
They have a kid ministry age kid and a student.
Okay.
What's their names?
John and the kids.
Come on.
Gertrude and Troy.
Oh my word.
Can we call her Gertie?
Yes.
Gertie
Gertie
Troy.
and
Yeah,
Troy.
she's a cute little
My dad's name is
button
Troy.
of a girl.
Okay.
6
She's
years
kids
old.
ministry. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
But
And then Troy is 13.
Yes.
not cute. He's a
Typical.
Oh,
Typical.
13-year-old boy.
He's rough.
Troy's
A little rough around the edges.
A little
That's-
smelly too.
Everett.
All right.
His middle name is Troy.
There you go.
There we go. All right. So
John and
forgot
Gertrude and
I'm
Troy.
here for levity.
John and Ann.
So they've been coming a while, and they catch us after church,
Yeah.
and they say, "Hey, we really like it. We want to join. What's that look like?"
Yeah. So typically, again, it's a conversation, and so a lot of those conversations are specific. And so one of the first conversations is, do you know you're saved? And like, have you made a decision to accept Christ? And typically, if someone's thinking about church membership, typically that answer is yes. And so inside the life of our church, then the next question is, where have you been a member of a church? Where have you, where were you baptized? Where are you coming from? What's your church background? And so that can go a lot of different ways. If that is a Baptist church, then typically that is going to be by letter. And some people think a lot of that's trivial or whatever else. And but I think it's important for us to cooperate across church lines. And so, like, if you're coming to be a part of something here, it's important that where you're coming from knows that you're making a connection somewhere else, and that they aren't continuing to try to reach out, do that you're not just some missing element on their church roll anymore, and that you're not on 5 different church rolls. I mean, like, and so so that's what the letter does. It allows communication back and forth. Some churches are better than that at others. Sometimes we wait 6 months and never get anything back, but there's a process there that we try to go through by letter.
Well, let me say something about that, because I've had the question. Again, it's an assumption that we make that people understand what that even means. If you join by transfer of letter, a lot of people have asked me, "Do I need to bring a letter?"
Yeah, no,
and that's not the thing. We send a letter to the church explaining you've presented yourself for membership, and then they act upon that.
So it is helpful if you have a little information, I mean, like just telling me Calvary Baptist Church. Well, my word, there's probably, 5,000 Calvary Baptist churches just in Tennessee alone.
Right.
So if you can give us some information, like, an address or a place or those types of things. That helps us quite a bit, or whatever else. But we send a kind of a membership letter that says this family or this couple or this individual has sought to join our church at Seymour First Baptist, and we are asking, are they a member in good standing of your church? And would you recommend them for membership? Transfer that to us. They typically send something back. And it's when that comes back that we're actually officially members. So not when the thing is done down front, but it's actually officially once that is received. Sometimes those don't come in. People don't respond or whatever else. And so we would move that to then another style, which is a statement of faith, meaning that you are making a statement of faith to us that you have accepted Christ as Savior and that you've been baptized in believer's baptism, identifying with the beliefs of our church. And so we receive that on statement of faith. And so that could be, again, a church that doesn't respond. It could be a church of a different denomination where they don't do this idea of letters and those types of things or whatever else. And so those are two of the main ways that we receive membership or whatever else. So
to take our example, John and Ann are joining by transfer of letter. Troy made a decision at a conference last year. And so he was baptized right before they left that church and began visiting. Little Gertie, 6, she's not quite got to the point of making a decision yet. And so when you come, 3 of those members are now becoming members by those processes we just described. But it doesn't just assume that Gertie is a member. Once you take this one, you can't. They're not like grandfathered in because of mom and dad.
Yeah, it's every individual, and even in mom and dad's case, it maybe not in this scenario, but with some families, it may be that mom and dad both are believers, but only one has been baptized.
Yes,
in a like-minded church, and so we would want to walk through that step with the one that has not been baptized to go through those steps of being baptized, and so. For a family, it is a matter of each individual, where have they been and what has that step looked like in their lives. So, for the little girl, it would be that, and we have these all the times, families that come up and the whole family's standing there and we present the whole family, but that doesn't mean that all of them are coming for membership. They're all there. For those, we're going to move forward and we're going to continue to be patient and let the Lord continue to do what they're doing in the little girl's life and walk through those steps with her as we disciple her and bring her to a point of understanding of faith in Christ. And so it is those steps that we take each individually. We'd want to have that conversation with the young man as well. You understand what you did and understand that, what that looked like and process with that. And I think as we have so many of those conversations, especially with younger kids, for me, it's so important that the kids, as they're making, sometimes I think we take our time a little bit more than maybe some people wish we would. They want us to move a little bit quicker, get my child baptized, take care of this. And I get that. I've got 4 boys. I understand that sentiment as well. But I also been in ministry long enough that I've seen enough adults, older students that have confusion and feel the need to be rebaptized and all of that stuff that I want to make sure that as we're taking those steps, I'm not saying we're going to eliminate all that. We're not. That's hard to do, but we want to mitigate it as best we possibly can. And so we're taking those steps with each one of those individuals and the kids as best we can to make sure that they're walking through that appropriately and that they won't have any confusion at a later date in life, that they truly understand and know what they've done and the decision they've made to follow Christ. And
so as we pointed out earlier, the fact that they have now joined, it may be that they did not have the new member merge yet. We didn't have it at the right time and they wanted to go ahead and join. Again, new member merge is not a requirement. Not to say that it never will be. There's probably you could make a fairly strong argument that it's a probably good thing to do before you join, but that's not the case right now. And to just explain it really quickly, again, the new member merge is just an assimilation class to introduce the church to individuals that may not have a Southern Baptist background. So we cover a lot of ground in there in terms of what church membership truly biblically is supposed to be.
Yep.
Which I think is very important that people understand, regardless of church, this is what a New Testament biblical church is supposed to be. Then we talk about a little bit about the history, about where we came from, about what the DNA of Seymour First Baptist Church is. And then we get into kind of places that you can plug in, utilize the spiritual gifts that you have. We talk about being members of the body. I just preached this message in Guatemala and talked about how people leverage their gifts within the context of the body and where they might plug in. And so then we kind of talk about, missions and cooperative program and all those kinds of things. And then, we then encourage them in the next steps. What's this going to mean? Typically, the most success that I've had in the new member merge class is meeting on Sunday mornings during the Sunday school hour. I've tried it other times and it's been okay, but meeting in Sunday school hour gives these people 6 sessions to come and get to know people, get to know each other and get to know me or whoever else, get to know you guys as you pop in and kind of talk about your areas of ministry. And so it gets them used to coming on a Sunday school hour. And then, I've launched a couple of classes out of new member merges, and I've been able to kind of then suggest those classes to people. And that would be the next step that I'm getting to is, okay, I'm a member, now what? Well, as the discipleship pastor, I want you to find a Sunday school class to continue to grow and be, to get to know the body here at Seymour First Baptist Church, because with 750, 800 people on a given Sunday, you're not going to get to know those people closely, but you can get to know 15 to 20 people in a Sunday school class fairly well and go through life with them. The next level beyond that would be to be a part of a D group. And we've talked about D groups on here. I'm not going to completely flesh that out, but those are gender-based, 3 to 5 people. Some of them have strayed into the 8, 9, 10 people, which is not ideal, but I'm not going to fuss about it. But those meet at off hours, on campus, off campus, morning, noon, night, all kinds of whatever works out for that particular group. But it's just a chance to get into the Word of God more deeply and to live life on life with individuals that you otherwise would not have an ability to do that through Sunday school or any other aspect of what we do. And then we want to find places of service within the context of the church. And that's getting to the point where you learn enough about it and utilize your gifts. And if you say, hey, I want to work in kids ministry, I want to work in student ministry, or I want to work in worship ministry. I'm techie and I want to kind of work the board on Sundays. I want to do audio visual things behind the scenes. We've got a place for all of that. Right. So, Austin, if you want to jump in here or if you want to.
Well, I was going to say
that.
singing the choir. And some of these places, there's a lot of places inside the life of our church where you can begin without being a member. Mm-hmm. And so worship ministry has a couple spots with some of those types of things.
And that's really one of the unique things, we'll just touch on it. We won't spend a lot of time because we talked about it in a lot of contexts. Our worship ministry gives more people an opportunity to be a part of things than other churches' worship ministry allows them to be a part through the choir, through the orchestra, and things like that. So,
yeah, and with all those, actually in worship ministry, you really don't have to be a member to get involved, just even from the get go. So, joining choir, joining orchestra, joining the band if there's an opening. Tech ministry, all that, you do not have to be a member to do that. So you can jump into that before you do a new member merge or join or any of that. We do try and not necessarily platform is not the right word, but platform people if they haven't joined as much. But there are still plenty of people who do get to sing regularly and stuff. But yeah, worship ministry, you can plug in from the get go because it's, a common language for all of us. And the whole point is kind of a microcosm of the church when it comes to choir or orchestra. It's that you bring your gift and add it to the bigger whole. And so yeah, you can come at any point to join choir. We got several people sing in choir before they ever join. So we'll call it the gateway ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I would, in the middle of all of that conversation, is to say, like, again, a lot of this drives out of us not being a pressure place, but understand that not pressuring does not mean that there's not an importance on membership. I believe that membership is important, and I believe it's important because it's biblical. We see 1 Corinthians 12, Paul talking about the members of the body and all this other stuff. And he goes on to say, and members of it. Like, I truly believe that membership is a commitment to one another. It's a commitment of the body to the individual and the individual to the body, and that is important. But at the same time, I know that is a personal decision that you need to work through and go through, and that there's a lot of things going on in all of that. And so we're not going to pressure someone to be a part of something that God's not leading them to do. I'm not going to be somebody's Holy Spirit, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but there's a balance in all of that, because we can leave it too frivolously and think that membership's not important. I can just come and be a part of whatever else. Well, I mean, is that really what God's calling you to do, is to be a part of something you're not committed to? And vice versa, like that we want to make sure that you understand, we don't want to be so frivolous about it that you don't understand the pathway to being involved and to being a part of and all those types of things. And so that's, again, I think that's why we lead to something like today where we talk about it just a little bit. And so I hope that helps to answer some of those questions. So again, there are three basic ways that you can then join. So we talked about by letter, by profession of faith, and by baptism. And then mainly those happen when we have regularly scheduled services. So again, Tiger hit on this earlier. There are different ways with different churches. I've known and been a part of churches where you could basically join online. I mean, you could send in this request to join and they would approve it, and no one would, I mean, I hate to say it, no one but you and whoever answered that email would ever know. And there are some pros to that or whatever. So I think there's some cons to that too. The way our structure is set up is that these decisions are made through our regularly scheduled worship services. So at the end of Sunday morning is the main time where you can make a church decision. That's often what I'll talk about there. It's a membership decision or something like that, by letter, by profession, by baptism. By baptism, we typically want to present it publicly and then move toward the baptistry at a different time. Sometimes we merge those together in one when time doesn't allow, or whenever that seems necessary or whatever else. But that can also happen on Wednesday nights. So the main way on Wednesday nights is usually through my class. But let's just say there was someone in worship choir on Wednesday night that wanted to join. Typically what I'd say is, one is let's have a conversation, just like all we've already talked about. And so that night, probably as choir is beginning, I would probably encourage them, hey, come into my class for a minute. Mm-hmm. Let me handle that at the very beginning. And we'll present and do all of that. Wednesday night's very it's not as public, not as stand up, not as all of that type of stuff. I typically point to someone and say, hey, this is so-and-so and they're wanting to join by this. And so we want to affirm that. And we take a vote on that because, again, our structure is set up that the church votes and affirms that. And so we do that. And again, I know for some that seems like it's really traditional, really old, but that's the structure. Always like to work within the structure that's already there inside the life of the church. And if we don't like the structure, let's not work around it. Let's change it. But it's not bad. It's not broken. So let's work within. And then again, that person, if they were a choir member, well, we do that at the very beginning, and they go on to choir and go on with the rest of their night or whatever else. And that could be another class or a student down in student ministry or whatever else, and we can do it. So the two main times for that is Sunday morning and Wednesday night, because those are our regularly scheduled services.
Right. And I don't want to sensationalize this too much, but again, this is going to vary from church to church. But one of the reasons I think that it's advantageous to do it that way, to have there be a body of people that are aware of this person's desire to become united in fellowship with this church, is accountability.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, if go back to your scenario, if it's you're submitting this request to become a member and one person's answering it and they have no idea about your background, whatever, people could get through the holes there. And, let's just say, God forbid, that somebody presents themselves for membership and out of the 700 people that are there on a Sunday morning, they go, wait, I just saw that person's picture in the paper. They were convicted of pedophilia, in East Tennessee somewhere. And we're like, oh, well, that's something that we can vet this.
Yeah.
And so again, that you may think, well, that's outrageous. It happens. And I think that the way that we go about it is healthy in respect to that. It's not like we're going to catch everything.
Right.
And I'll just take the time to say right now, we talked about, working in kids and student ministry. We're not going to throw you in there unless you've passed a background check and you've been vetted, because we do have those checks and balances in place and make sure we have some safety things going on there. But anyway, I think that's another valid reason that we do it in a public fashion as much as we can.
And every system is going to have its pros and cons.
Yeah.
None of them are perfect.
None of them are foolproof.
But again, we've said this over and over, if you're looking for the perfect church, don't come here because you'll mess it up.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, but I mean, there aren't perfect churches. We are imperfect people. These systems, the policies and procedures and those types of things, they are there to provide a structure to try to lead toward health. And ignoring them or whatever else, you can think something is better or worse, and they are better and worse. But they are kind of how God has worked through this church and is continuing to work, and that's what we want. And so we just do our best to try to help people understand how that is working and the systems that are there, and that's kind of our goal with this. So yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that wonder, why do I have to be a member to teach in kids or students? And I think what you're saying about the accountability is a lot of that. Yes, from the standpoint of vetting, but also from the standpoint of accountability when it comes to people who are teaching our kids, our students, or anybody for that matter in the life of our church. You're standing there and saying, I'm committing myself to this church, to the teachings of the church, the beliefs of this church, and therefore we can hold accountable if someone's in a kid's class that is teaching something that we don't deem that biblical. We can have that conversation, and there's accountability to that, and so that's part of why that is in place.
Yeah. In the life of Seymour First Baptist, as a Southern Baptist church, we commit ourselves to following the Baptist Faith and Message, which is a document that holds no particular sway over us other than the fact that it is a very concise way of gathering our faith belief, our faith practice. These are the things that we agree upon.
Yeah.
And if you stray from that, if you are not in agreement with that, then there's going to be a problem pursuing teaching at any level within the context of the body. There are areas in there that it's open for debate. There are gray areas in there. That's a whole nother podcast.
It's a guide for interpretation. I think about it a lot of times as guardrails on a road. That if you drive a road that has guardrails on either side, and And so there are rooms to be in some different lanes, but there are these guardrails that are set up to guide us in our cooperation and guide us in our interpretation, guide us in our faith and practice. And it's important that those be there because there are a lot of things out there, y'all, and a lot of it is not healthy and not good. And so there are varying and differences. I mean, I would say that we could probably find an interpretive difference. We could probably find one thing that the four of us fall on four different places on interpretation, but that's still within the guidelines. It's still within the guardrails of the Baptist Faith and Message, and that's completely okay. But there, on that same topic, there are another 20 things that are not okay. That are just they are not biblical. They're not good interpretations. They're not good for faith and practice. And so that gives us, again, membership. Membership affirms the guidelines and the beliefs inside the life of our church.
And we go over the Baptist Faith Message in the new member merge. And that's kind of part of the process as well. I would say the other thing that just comes to mind, and jump in if we haven't hit on something that you are interested in, but we also recognize that people are coming from a spectrum of belief and faith practice. I've been walking with the Lord for 50 years. I've, and growing in my understanding, and this is where I am. You may have just recently made a profession of faith. You may be brand new to the idea of what it means to be a Christian and to walk with Christ. And you don't even know or have been made aware or have kind of mined the depths of your spiritual gifts or your talents or what it is. I don't even know where it is that I should be serving. Again, what I'm about to say is not, it's not foolproof. It's not a perfect means, but we have spiritual gifts assessments that we can offer you that will at least kind of get you in the ballpark of, okay, this appears to be a strength. This appears to be an emerging passion that you may have. And if that is the case, then here are a few areas that you might want to pray about being a part of. We can do that for you. Again, it's not a magic wand and say, it's not like the sorting hat at Hogwarts, that this is what you are. It is just a way of saying, okay, you are strong in the areas of discernment and teaching, and man, it looks like maybe you might be on a path to at least start being an apprentice teacher, kind of under this particular teacher, and you can work with them for a year or two, and then maybe we can, birth a new unit and you'd be a teacher. That's just one avenue that you can do that in.
Yeah. I was going to throw out there, as we're talking about like different things and different options, there are lots of places inside the life of the church where you can work and move. And so one of the things we recognized is that you don't always know them or see them. And so coming up May 17th, we're going to have a missions and ministry fair, kind of an after, I think of it almost like an expo or a exhibit hall, that after service on Sunday morning, we're going to have the gym set up. After the second service. Yes, sorry. It'll be after the second service, May 17th, down in the gym where you can see a lot of the different places like greeters or host team or security or AV. MVP. We are hoping that every area of service inside the life of the church will be represented where you can go and see and talk to someone and sign up and learn more about all that is going on inside the life of Seymour First Baptist and how you can be a part of it and see and understand those things are going on. So we're excited about that. So
very cool.
All right.
You good?
I have a lot.
I mean, I think that's the quietest I've heard Austin in like 2 weeks.
He's still recovering.
That's true.
And bless his heart, his head's peeling, and it
looks like leprosy.
Unclean.
All right. Well, that has been this particular episode of Seymour from the Front Pew. We hope that if you have had any questions about, what's next steps, those kinds of things, that this has been helpful for you. We appreciate you tuning in as always. If you have ideas that you would like for us to cover on this podcast, please listen to the email we're about to share with you. You can send those to us. And as always, we appreciate you. Let's say bye, fellas.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Seymour from the Front Pew. Our sole desire for this podcast is to glorify God by educating and encouraging His body. If you would like to learn more about anything you've heard today, feel free to reach out by email at staff@seymourfbc.org or by visiting our website at seymourfbc.org. If you're located near our community and do not have a church home, come worship with us at 10:15 a.m. on Sunday morning. Until then, we pray God's richest blessings on you and yours as you love God, love others, make disciples, and live the life.